If I'm going to bring up Steph Curry's name along with Chris Paul in the same sentence, I'm pretty sure that y'all will be referencing this clip, where the chef forced the point guard to play Twister in the middle of the court. And the time when CP3 had his revenge by doing his own weird version of Steph's classic shimmy. With the recent development in the last couple of weeks, no one in their wildest imaginations thought that these two former bitter rivals would be teaming up wearing the same Golden State Warriors uniform next season. I bet some of you are already scratching your heads right now, figuring out how this partnership is gonna work. I mean, they're both gonna be playing the same position, and they need the ball at all times in order to flourish. Like, the math just doesn't add up. But see, this is just on the surface level, because if you dig deeper enough, you'll actually realize that these two legendary point guards are kinda cut from the same cloth, forged with a long history of friendship and on-court rivalry that goes years back. It's story time, folks, and in this video, we're going to talk about the strange love-hate relationship between Wardell Stephen Curry II and Christopher Emmanuel Paul. Now, most of you may not be aware of this, but both Steph and CP3 shared a long history dating back to their playing days back in North Carolina. See, Chris Paul grew up and was raised in Winston-Salem, and even though Steph was originally born in Akron, Ohio, they eventually moved to Charlotte when his dad got shipped out to the Hornets because of the expansion draft. Now, when CP3 attended West Forsyth High School in Clemens, he was named MVP while bringing home a state championship along with multiple individual awards. Meanwhile, Steph, on the other hand, took the same course, as he was also named Tournament MVP, playing for Charlotte Christian School while bagging not just one, but 3 state titles together with a bunch of individual honors under his name. At this point, you can see that their basketball careers are starting to get intertwined in a weirdly similar way. And as expected, the hair-raising similarities between the two didn't stop there. Although Steph and CP3 had accomplished basketball resumes in high school, both of them were only offered walk-on spots on their top choices of college schools. I mean, UNC only offered CP3 a walk-on because they still had Raymond Felton on their roster at the time they were recruiting him, and as much as Steph wanted to attend Virginia Tech just like his dad, he was also offered a walk-on due to the fact that he was just a skinny 160-pound kid back then. So ultimately, CP3 went to a school that was closer to home, which was Wake Forest, while Steph accepted the offer coming from Davidson, who was aggressively recruiting him since he was in 10th grade. In college, the playstyle of these two promising point guards started to take shape. Chris Paul took the role of a floor general that dictated the tempo and pace of the team, while Steph followed the footsteps of his dad as a gunslinging dead-eye shooter, but enhancing it even further into insane levels. Though they embraced different playstyles, the success that they brought on the court was undeniable, as both Steph and CP3 carried their respective schools to multiple NCAA tournament appearances during their time in college. And with the way their numbers have lined up, it was only a matter of time before they got drafted in the NBA. Since CP3 was 4 years ahead of Steph, he got drafted first in 2005, and spent his first 4 years rising through the ranks in New Orleans as the franchise's star. Meanwhile, Steph got drafted later on in 2009, and even though Paul was already an established star by the time Steph arrived, he took Steph under his wing and helped him develop his game.
How do y'all feel about having Chris Paul around, another one of the greatest players of all time added to the locker room?
It's going to be amazing. It's obviously a big change. Consider all the history that we've had forward, and me and him going way back to North Carolina days, and him kind of being my mentor when I was coming out of college, and being able to work out with him and learn the ropes.
I I mean, we can literally pinpoint that Chris Paul is one of the major reasons why Steph Curry turned out to be the player that he is right now due to his mentorship. And this only shows that these two really shared a long history that most people don't know about. The North Carolina connection seemed to have strengthened the bond and built a mutual respect between Steph and CP3 as they journeyed together in the NBA. However, just like any healthy relationship, their friendship has gone through a rough patch and was tested quite a few times. After getting mentored by CP3, Steph gradually unleashed his true potential and began beating CP3 on the court, and in just 5 years, Steph was able to capture his first NBA championship with the Golden State Warriors. Although CP3 wasn't really frustrated about it, you can sense that he's starting to get a bit bitter and jealous with the things Steph has achieved, even if he really doesn't say it out loud. Throughout their many encounters in the regular season, Steph has won 22 of them, and while they're virtually tied in the playoffs with 9 wins apiece, Steph actually got the best of CP3 as the Dubs eliminated the Rockets and used them as stepping stones going to the finals in the 2018 and 2019 playoffs. This made CP3 mad at Steph even more, and in fact, he got so mad at him that he reportedly kicked out Steph in the Rockets arena to prevent him from practicing ahead of their Game 6 matchup back in 2019. But that didn't end well for CP3, because Steph and his crew stormed a comeback to win that game. And right after the buzzer sounded, Steph had the last laugh as he ran towards the dugout. Now, fast forward to 2020 when CP3 was playing for OKC. He once again took a subtle swipe at Steph by saying,
"You can build like the ultimate point guard. Okay, you have to take attributes from different point guards to build that great one. Build it."
You know, I probably want D Rose's explosiveness, and then you got the different arms. So like one hand probably like Kyrie's finishes and all that, and then on the other hand, Shea Nice with the finishes. Like Steve Nash was a really good shooter. Russ, great rebounder. You know, Bron is always good at passing and all that different type of stuff. But I know like my basketball IQ and awareness, like nobody watches more basketball than me. You know what I mean? So probably like D Will or Baron Davis is like Bill. Shooting also might be somebody like Gilbert Arenas.
I mean, even if you fast forward that clip, you would not hear CP3 mentioning Steph's name, not even once during that stretch, and to me, he really didn't mention his name on purpose just to rub it in Steph's face even more. Like, how in the world were you able to put Gilbert Arenas over a 3-time champ and back-to-back MVP in the conversation of building the greatest point guard ever? I mean, that was just silly. Anyways, the beef between the two didn't end there, because just last year, Steph gave CP3 a dose of his own medicine when he did this.
On that baseline, Steph is like, I'm gonna get to this rim if it's the last thing that I do! Well, wait. Look, he's chirping. Look, he's talking to him. He can't guard me. I'm too.
To which CP3 responded,
Curious, the cameras caught Steph saying something to you about this isn't 2014 anymore, and I guess after he scored a layup on you.
Shit, I don't know what happened in 2014. Y'all tell me.
This love-hate relationship between Steph and Paul doesn't seem to affect CP3 even one bit, as well as his approach towards his new teammates in the Bay Area. And as a matter of fact, he enthusiastically looks forward to it.
Me and Steph have known each other a long time, man. My wife was at his wedding. I think him and his wife was at our wedding, but we've known each other for a very, very long time, man. So I'm excited to get a chance to play alongside him. You know, Clay, Wig, Draymond, all them, man. They got a unbelievable organization, and that team is just, they've been playing together for a while and they know what they're doing.
Now, if there's one analogy to sum up their on and off relationship, it would go something like this. At first, CP3 was like a big brother to Steph. Then, because of the help that he received from his big brother, Steph slowly became mom's favorite and everyone began to adore him, which eventually made the big brother super jealous. And then, the big brother tried to throw a fit so that he'll get back people's attention to him. Now that they're thrown in the same crib, we all know that there are things that are quite certain. One is the big brother is just too old right now, and the younger brother is way, way, way better than the big brother. But despite how contrasting this is, they are still brothers at the end of the day. Brothers that only care about winning. And with this said, I really believe that with all the things that they went through in their careers, they're gonna set their differences aside and eventually figure things out and focus on achieving their common goal. And that is to win a championship next season together as brothers.